Alright guys, so here's the review of the Proxima PX1697. So, reviewed a few Proximas on the channel now, and I think their sister brand Omnion. If you're interested in any of the other watches I've checked out, I have separate playlists for all the different brands I've reviewed. So if you want to check them out, check out the playlist section on the channel. So quickly go over what else we've got in here. So pop the watch to one side for a second. So we've got a little Proxima tag, which has actually got the unicorn on there as well, because they do have the unicorn version, some of their watches. And we've got a couple of bits under here. So we've got the warranty card, which is actually signed and dated, which is good. Instruction manual. And then we've got a little screwdriver. These are always handy. Never have too many of these. And this is actually quite a good one as well. But we'll pop all this to one side and get right down to the watch. So here's the actual watch. And it is quite a looker, isn't it? I have to admit, I do really like this one. But before we go into details of why, let's go over the dimensions. So we've got a diameter of 39mm, thickness of 11.7, lug width of 20, and then the all-important lug to lug is coming in at a pretty compact 45.5. So straight away we've got really nice dimensions on this. Really nice case shape as well. Do like that a lot. Conforms to wrist really well. Nice mixture of brushed and polished. Some chamfered details as well. And you can also see we've got female end links there as well, helping keep that lug to lug down. We've also got a nice style crystal on there. Checking out a bit if it is sapphire. But let's get a zoom in on this dial and talk about this a bit more first. So it's actually an enamel dial on this, which is really nice. Really does pop. As do those indices. The polished details around the edge, catching the light nicely. Same with the hands. And I do appreciate also that they've got that date down at the 6. You can have a date, it's definitely my preferred position for one. If I'm being nitpicky, I'm not overly keen on the font they've used for it. But again, that's just nitpicking. I would have preferred if they just used the same as the actual Proxima branding. But other than that, it's not too big a deal. We've got that truncated indice down there as well. Another nice little detail as well is they've got a cap on the second end, so you can't see the spindle there. Again, just a little attention to detail does make all the difference. And you can probably also see we've got a nice smooth sweep at that second end. So that's because this has got the PT5000. They also do it with an SW200 as well. But if it was me, I'd just be going with the PT5000. More or less the same movement. It's a clone of the ETA, same as the SW200. And in my experience, they work just as well. Got quite a few watches with them now, no issues at all. And the fitting of those end links, really good too. They do integrate nicely with the same finishing, both brushed. Unsigned crown, which would have been nice if they had something on there maybe, but can't really complain too much. So the case is 39mm, you can see, but the bezel does actually stick out just past that. So the bezel is more like 40mm. And then you can see that lovely top-hat style crystal again. When it comes to the bracelet, it's fully brushed. Got a milled clasp, again unsigned. No fold over, just double pushes, but it is milled. And on the inside of there, we've actually got that Proxima and Omnion. As I said earlier, that's their sister brand. I've actually checked out one of theirs before. If you want to check out that, I'll leave a link to it up here. And probably down in the description as well. Got a good amount of micro just on there as well, so sizing won't be an issue. And when it comes to the links on this, they're screw links, which is definitely my preferred option. touchy as well. Look around to the back. I've actually got quite a nice case back on this. A couple of rays on there. You could probably also see as well, it actually says this is limited edition. Not entirely sure how true that is. If it is, you might want to get one of these quickly, because it is a really nice piece. Other specs we got around there: automatic, 316L, sapphire crystal. Oh, something I forgot to mention that you probably noticed. We have actually got a quick release bracelet, which you don't see all that often. Do appreciate that. It's a nice touch. So now let's test if it is actually sapphire crystal, as they say. And the trusty diamond selector 2. And yep, we have got sapphire crystal, which is always good to see. So before we get onto the Lume, I'll quickly show you this bezel in action. So it's a ceramic bezel insert, 120 click. Got a really nice action on it, nice and clicky, absolutely rock solid, no backplay whatsoever. And it does line up perfectly as well, so no issues there. And you do appreciate the fact that the bezel sticks out just past the case, which makes it a bit easier to grab, with it being the slimmer kind of style bezel. So nicely thought out there. But now let's check out what the Lume's like. So you can see we've got quite a bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a fair chance. And there we go. So pretty impressive Lume, as you can tell. So it's BGW9, and we've got it on the hands, indices, and also on the bezel as well. So initially, really bright glow, and it does last a pretty good amount of time as well. No patchiness whatsoever, consistent across the hands and the indices, and also that bezel, surprisingly enough. Despite the bezel not having a lot of surface area for Lume, it managed to get a decent amount in there. Don't know if this is going to come up on camera now, but if again I was being nitpicky, the hands do fade ever so slightly quicker than the indices, which isn't ideal, but as I say, they both last a really good amount of time. It's probably not going to be too big a deal. And as I say, it is only ever so slightly before. But definitely impressed with the Lume on this one. So it doesn't actually mention this anywhere on the watch, on the back or on the dial, but it is actually 200 meter water resistance this, according to the listing. So again, nice touch. And then the screw down crown, we show you the movement in action. As I say, this is the PT5000 version, but they also do an SW200. But obviously that one's going to cost you more. So pop it out once, then we can change the date. Pop it out again, second hand stops, go hacking. Then obviously just change the time. Pop it back in, second hand re-engages. Hand winding, all working well, no issues at all. As I say, got quite a few watches now with the BT5000 in. Not had any issues with any of them. So I definitely recommend them. So all that's left to do now, show you what it's like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. And this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist. And as I say, with that curvature to the case, it just conforms really nicely. Also with it being really slim, it just wears so well. Plenty of micro adjust to get the perfect size. No issues there. Nice polished chamfer detail on that clasp as well. And then you've got that gorgeous enamel dial. High polish around the indices and the hands, catching the light nicely too. And again, do appreciate that date wheel down at the 6. Just adds to the symmetry, which I do like. I just think it's a really good looking piece. That nice slim ceramic bezel as well. Just adds to the overall look. The elegant dimensions. So if you're interested in this one, I would definitely recommend it. Have I got any issues with it? As I say, if I'm being really nitpicky, the font on that date wheel maybe, change that. Perhaps they could assign the crown and the clasp, but that's pretty much it. not really a deal breaker or anything. So no real issues to mention. Great movement, beautiful design, lovely enamel dial, really good lume, excellent bezel action. Can't fault it. And as I say, really elegant looking case. Conforms to wrist beautifully. So highly recommended this one. If you're interested in picking one up, as always, links down in the description. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.